What's going on YouTube? RDAP Dan here, Federal Prison Time Consulting. Hope you guys are all having an amazing holiday. Today is Veterans Day, as you guys all know, so if you have any veterans in your family, I just want to give a big thanks to everybody that's out there supporting this country, fighting for this country, and giving us these awesome freedoms that we have. So with that, we're going to kind of segue into why we're talking about this video today. I know a lot of you don't feel very free right now, so that's what we're going to be talking today about. Preparing for federal prison, what you're doing, dealing with the unknown, the anxiety that comes with this. The fact is, most of you are going to federal prison, so it's time to really start taking responsibility, owning that situation, what that looks like. So let's give everybody a few minutes to join us. If you haven't done so, go ahead and take a moment, subscribe to our channel. Also, make sure you text the word YouTube to 76626. That'll put you on our notifications to receive text messages when we post these live videos. I didn't post it today because this was kind of a last-minute video. What's going on? Hey, Exterior Pro Services, what's going on? I will be in Tampa for Thanksgiving, so I know I owe you a lunch or a coffee or something along those natures. So let's try to reconnect when I come up to Tampa. I wasn't up there very long last time. As you know, there's a pretty nasty storm going up there while I was there, so it was kind of hit or miss type of a situation. So I'll definitely get with you while I'm up there. Tabitha Bryant, hey, how are you? How are you? So guys, let's kind of jump into today's topic. Now, I know it's Veterans Day, and I know a lot of you are really going through a tough time because maybe some of you are ex-veterans and you're getting ready to go to prison. I met a lot of, whether it was Navy, Marines, Army, a lot of armed forces that were in prison when I was in there. And I know it's an extra struggle to know that maybe you fought for this country and here you are in a situation where your country is going to put you in prison. You put yourself in prison. Let's just get that straight. For most of you. Court December 13th, sentencing. So we have some time, Exterior. I was just reading a message there, guys. Roy Hobbs, how are you, my man? Oh, Freshco. Mike Freshco, one of our clients. Go jump over on the website and you can read Mike Freshco's blog. He was a Miami police officer, Miami-Dade police officer who went to federal prison. Mike Freshco is basically bringing guns through the airport, and then those guns would go other places, and that was a lot more to it than that, but that's what Mike went to prison for. He did RDAP, he's now out of prison, and here he is hanging out with us right now. So we receive emails, phone calls, text messages on a pretty regular basis. I would say probably in the neighborhood of, on a good week, maybe 300 messages a week. On a slow week, 150 to 200 messages a week. And that's a combination of everything. Most of these messages, they are people that are distressed, they are pulling their hair out, they're losing their mind, they've either just become under indictment or they're being investigated, they don't know what to do, they're at their wits' end. The thoughts of fleeing and suicide and talking to your children. There's so much anxiety that's built into these phone calls, and everybody's looking for answers. They're looking for solutions to their problems. They're looking for a magic wand or a magic pill in most situations, because when we provide a solution, a lot of you are not at a point in the situation yet or a point in your journey where you're ready to hear the solution that exists for you. Many of you are looking for fairy tale solutions. You're looking for a solution that's going to make all of this go away. You're feeling very sorry for yourself. You're talking about how hard this is going to be on your family. And really, it's this internal instinct that you cannot fathom the idea that you're in what seems to be this absolutely horrible nightmare of sleepless nights, night terrors. You're thinking about not just how uncomfortable and scary prison is, but the fact that you're going to prison for a period of time that's undetermined for a lot of you. Some of you may be facing 40 months, some of you may be facing 140 months or more. And it depends on what your crime is, depending on your criminal history, the drug quantities, the money quantities. There's so many different things that can determine how much time somebody's looking at. So we'll get these calls, we'll get these emails, and people looking for ridiculous solutions. What can I do to not go to prison? What can I do to make all of this go away? We've talked to people that are thousandaires, and we've talked to people that are very, very high up there in the millions, making millions per year, and they think there's going to be some way to buy their way out of this or some way to talk their way out of this. Many of you have been in the industry of growing your own business, building a business, entrepreneurship, or you've been able to talk yourself out of a paper bag over and over again. It's not going to be like that this time. So when we start providing solutions is what somebody can actually do, that's usually when you'll see somebody shut down and go, oh, that's not really what I wanted to hear, or I'm not really ready to hear that. So guys, you got to remember exactly where you are right now. I was you. So let's just put that out there. I was you. The person that you are right now that doesn't know how to deal with this, doesn't know what to expect, doesn't know what's coming. You don't know the questions to ask your attorney. You go to your attorney's office with a bunch of questions and you leave with more answers. You leave with more questions than answers. You feel frustrated. You feel like nobody understands. You feel like you don't deserve this. You feel like it's all coming down on you. You think to yourself, what the fuck did I do? How come I couldn't just... How many of you go back in your mind and you constantly think about if I could just go back in time and not make that seemingly unimportant decision? Most of you got very comfortable making poor decisions. That's what got you to this point. Not many of you made one little mistake and all of a sudden everything fell apart. It may have been one thing that catapulted everything, but it came from some justifying and shifty and shady and dodging and thinking, this isn't that big of a deal. I'm not going to go to... People don't go to prison for this. You Google online, you look at whatever it was, what you were doing prior to getting in trouble, and you said to yourself, okay, these are the people that went to prison. I'm not doing what they're doing. I'm doing it better, or I'm doing it different, or I'm being slicker than they are. Whatever your thought is, it's all this self-justification bullshit. So I was you. I was going through exactly what you're going through right now. I know what it's like to not be able to sleep at night. I know what it's like to think about suicide multiple times a day. I know what it's like to think about going on the run or fleeing or having these imaginary thoughts of hauling ass and leaving the country and leaving your family behind and trying to come visit them from time to time. I mean, all these irrational thoughts that would run through our mind. Most of us aren't doing it because we realize deep down inside that there probably will be an end to this. I just don't know when it is, and I don't know how I'm going to find the strength to get through this. And this is where you need to realize the first step in all of this is owning the situation you're in and coming to terms. If you're watching this video right now, you probably, more than likely, are going to federal prison. The sooner you can grasp that concept, the sooner you can start to climb your way out of this hole and start mitigating where mitigating applies. On the front end, on the back end, RDAP, getting the judge to downward depart from sentencing guidelines, getting some additional halfway house time, getting a year off for RDAP, First Step Back, Second Chance Act. Right now you're going, I don't even know where to start. I don't know where to start. Well, where to start is the phone number on the screen, 509-434-4695. There's a link in the description of this video for a free consultation. You'll fill out a form, you'll book yourself on our calendar, you set up a time that's convenient for you. It doesn't cost you anything. We'll find out based on your situation if there's anything that can be done. Now, you've heard me say, I was you. I was you. I was the person you are right now, feeling helpless, feeling like this is never going to go away, feeling like this is going to ruin my entire life. So if I was you then, you have to look at the upside to this. You got to look at the benefits to this. The beautiful thing, the silver lining in all of this is I'm still you. I've just been through the entire process of what you're about to go through. I've been through the indictment phase. I've been through what's next. I've been through going to prison. I've left prison. I've been to the halfway house. I was on home confinement. Everything that could have happened to you probably happened to me. I even violated my halfway house when I was on the halfway house. I violated, and they sent me back to county jail for 27 days while I waited some bullshit in-house trial to find out if I was going to be found guilty or innocent on the charges that they violated me in the halfway house. All of these things, that worst case scenarios, best case scenarios, I've dealt with it. And if I haven't dealt with it directly, I've dealt with it indirectly with clients that are going through some very, very trying periods of time. So if I was able to get through this, and I was able to not kill myself, and I was, excuse me, and I was able to talk to my children and explain to them the process, even though initially when I spoke to my children, there was a whole lot of bullshit that went on there. I didn't tell my kids exactly what really happened. I told them the story that I wanted them to know, which was, I got caught up in something. I had no idea. It's not my fault. The government's got a hold of me now. They want to paint me in a bad picture because they just want to send everybody to prison, but I didn't do what they said that I did. And if I could afford a better attorney, I probably wouldn't be going to prison right now. Just like many of you that are thinking about how you're going to sell this to your children to make yourself still look like a hero, still make yourself look like a good guy, because who wants to look like something other than that when it's dealing with children? The problem is it's bullshit. And the sooner you realize that, the more honest and transparent you can be with your children. I didn't start doing that until after I got out of prison, after I went through RDAP, after they started asking me more and more questions. Kids are not dumb. They're going to get older and older. They're going to read things online. They're going to hear things from other people. Family members, guys. Look, unless you have the most tight-knit family and outreaches of your family, your wife's side, all of these different people that play a role, you don't know who's going to say something about you behind your back. I found out way later on that so many people throughout the family of food chain there, going down the chain from my ex-wife's side to all kinds of people telling my kids things. Oh, your dad really did this, or your dad did that. Some things were so outlandish that it really wasn't true. So your best bet is to control the narrative of your entire story and be honest. Tell your kids what's going on. Depending on the ages, you have to take control of this. You have to realize that you're going to prison. And as much as you want to will it and close your eyes and stick your head in the fucking dirt and act like this doesn't exist, it does. And every day that goes by that you pretend like it doesn't is one day less that you have to fight. It's one day less that you could be doing something to mitigate your situation. It's one day less that you could be talking to your attorney and holding your attorney accountable. How are you supposed to hold your attorney accountable if you don't even know the questions to ask? We had a client, he actually just posted a review on our Google review page, on our Google business page. And he started off his review with, "I was orphaned by my attorney." I think that's a great title. Maybe a title for a video, a title for a book. Orphaned by your attorney. Many of you feel that process. And the problem is I don't think your attorney's doing it intentionally. But your attorney may not understand what your real needs are, because the average attorney has never been through what you're going through right now. They deal with people every single day that have a million questions, and they don't have all of the answers. Your attorney's strong points are going to be getting the plea deal from the government, handing you the plea deal, making sure that if it's a money loss, that it's being calculated right. If there's criminal history, make sure it's being calculated right. If your age, you have to take all these things into consideration, and your attorney's job should be to make sure that all of this is correct by the time the pre-sentence report is completed. That's your attorney's job. Beyond that, the attorneys do not have a lot of expertise in other mitigating factors such as RDAP, narratives, reference letters. Now, a really good attorney would go, yes, that's true. I don't have a lot of expertise in this area. But many attorneys don't want to come off sounding like they don't know what you're talking about. So they may tell you, don't worry, we're going to take care of that. Or that's not that big of a deal. Or don't worry about RDAP. That's up to the Bureau of Prisons. Now, that's completely correct. The Bureau of Prisons determines whether or not you're able to get into RDAP. However, what can you be doing now to increase the chances that the BOP is going to admit you into RDAP based on qualifying factors? Your substance abuse, the time frames of your substance abuse, what types of substance abuse? How is this being articulated? Is it being articulated to the probation officer during the pre-sentence interview? If your attorney can't give you a roadmap to exactly how that process works and what the cutoffs, what the qualifications are, where they meet in the middle, no one's trying to coach you how to manipulate the system. But too often do we hear that attorneys have told their client, don't talk about your drug use, don't talk about your substance abuse. It's going to cause you more problems than it's going to cause benefits. And that's usually not the case. We're dealing with a client right now who's extremely frustrated. He's sitting in Sheridan right now. He's sitting in Sheridan Federal Prison Camp. He's been there for a little while, just found out he's not going to get into RDAP. He didn't have the information in his pre-sentence report. He did not articulate it to his probation officer. He legitimately did have substance abuse issues, but his attorney coached him to minimize these situations. These are detrimental to your situation and to the betterment of how soon you can release home and how soon you can enter into a program to get the actual help that you need. And if you can't get into RDAP and you truly do have a substance abuse problem, you need to be engaging yourself in what's called NDAP, the non-residential version of RDAP, which is also taken at the prison, but it doesn't offer sentence reduction. So if you're going to your RDAP coordinator and they're saying, well, you don't qualify for RDAP, but you can take NDAP, and you tell them no, forget about ever getting into RDAP, because then it's going to prove right there that you don't actually want any help at all, and you're going to try to manipulate your way to get into the program. If you're one of those individuals that thinks you're going to go lie on your pre-sentence report and you're going to make things up to get into the program, you might get into the program, you might finagle your way through it, you might get the year off, but all you did was lie to yourself, continue the same path you were on that probably got you into the situation to begin with, and you probably took that seat and that spot in the program from somebody who actually does need it, from somebody who actually is suffering from substance abuse issues that cannot take the program because you had this crazy feeling of self-entitlement that it was more important for you to get time off of your sentence than it was for that person to get help with an addiction that they truly have. So ask yourself why you're doing what you're doing and who is it helping? Are you putting somebody else's situation in danger by making the choices that you're making? We have to second guess everything we want to do. So many of us feel like we're so rational in our thought process, but fuck, here we are getting ready to go to prison. You have to admit to yourself that possibly your rational self-thinking is really irrational and you just don't know it. You may not be the best judge of character to judge your own situation right now. Had an amazing call over the weekend with a brand new client who found us. Amazing call. Somebody that probably never would have given me the time of the day in the past. He's very high up there on the food chain. And the fact that he's at an all-time low is where he's reaching out for help to learn what he doesn't know. And he's so openly and admitting that he doesn't know what he doesn't know. And he wants to get the help that he needs. He wants to position himself for the best possible outcome. He doesn't want to spend a minute longer in federal prison than he needs to. These are the type of people that we can help because they're willing to be open and transparent. If you're not willing to be open, you're not willing to be transparent, you don't want to do the work, and you just want somebody to do all the work for you, you're going to continue this path that you're on. You're going to prison, it's time to fucking deal with it, but what are you going to do about it? That doesn't mean you just sit around and do nothing. Just because you're going to prison, if you're sentenced to 40 months, doesn't mean you have to serve 40 months. What can you do to mitigate that? You got the front end and the back end. What can you do to possibly show a judge that there's a reason to give you a shorter sentence beyond the guideline range? We all know the whole point of going to prison is to learn a lesson. The judge feels you need to learn a lesson for what you did. So if the main goal is to learn a lesson, what are you doing right now to prove to that judge that you've learned a lesson, to give him or her the thought process of going, maybe probation is on the table for this individual, even though it's not in the guidelines. Or maybe a sentence reduction from the minimum guideline range. For those of you that don't understand how that works, you've got minimum mandatories, which your hands are tied. The judge can't go any lower than a minimum mandatory. But the guideline ranges are advisory. So if your guideline range is, minimum guideline range is, let's say 36 months up to whatever, 48 months, 60 months, whatever it might be, those are just advisory to the judge based on the federal sentencing guideline charts. However, the judge has the ability to go below or above that. It's very, very rare that you see a judge go above that if somebody's cooperating. It's very typical to see a judge do the low end of the guidelines. It's very typical to see prosecutors recommend the low end of the guidelines. But it's also, with our clients, it's also very common to see a judge go below those guideline ranges. And from time to time, we see it happen at probably once a month where somebody actually receives probation where it wasn't within the realm of guidelines. Prosecutors weren't offering probation, their attorney didn't think they were going to get probation, but because all of the work and what they did to really show the remorse, to really show that they have learned a lesson above and beyond, look, 5K1s, acceptance of responsibility, bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Everybody in your situation is doing that. Everybody's going to get acceptance of responsibility for taking a plea. Everybody's going to have a little bullshit piece of paper saying, I accept full responsibility for my actions because I want a plea deal. That's really all that says. Because I don't want to go to trial and get my head cut off. The judge gets it. You're not going to go to trial because you're not an idiot. However, what are you doing to show that judge that you're actually making an effort to go above and beyond the acceptance of responsibility? What are you doing within your community? How much effort are you putting into understanding what's going to take place during that pre-sentence interview? These things make a difference. And if you don't believe it, you're either lying to yourself, you're crazy, or you're in such denial and you're so cocky and self-entitled that you think nobody's going to tell you something that you don't already know. Either way, we can't help any of those three people. But if you're one of those individuals that goes, you know what? Maybe he's right. Let me start doing some research. I'm not saying take my word for it. I'm saying do your own homework and your own research. I know there's a big missing gap of information based on federal prison when it comes to, there's plenty of information about federal prison, but it's all a bunch of bullshit about prison burritos and prison shanks and prison tattoos and prison fights and this gang and bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. But there's very minimal information out there about what the federal system is actually like, what individuals can do to mitigate their sentence, hearing from individuals that have actually gone through it, they've bettered their lives out of it, they've turned their lives around. I would not be the person I am today if it had not been for federal prison. Am I glad that I went to federal prison? I'm glad that I had the experience that I have. I'm glad that I went through the trial and errors that I had. I don't want to do it again, but I'm blessed to have been able to go through what all of you are going through right now and to be able to turn it into something so positive because of you guys, and the response that I received from doing these videos has been absolutely amazing. Never thought in a million years that this would be a career for me. We brought a gentleman on last Wednesday, Matt Seidel, offering opportunities to people after incarceration. You guys think there's nothing left. I don't believe you really think that. I think that's an easy thought to think about to make you feel sorry for yourself and hope somebody else feels sorry for you deep down inside. Nobody gives a shit that you're going to prison. You realize that, right? Nobody cares. Maybe your immediate family. That's about it. Your friends, they're just like, oh, I'm tired of hearing about this. There's nothing that we can do about it. It's like watching you die slowly of cancer. I can't wait till you die so I can move on with my life. That's how most people outside of your immediate family actually think about you. We've all had that person that we know, right? A friend or a family member, terminal ill, and you're like, oh, this is horrible. I hate watching them go through this. Put them out of their misery already. They're suffering. And it's so hard to watch that unravel. So don't put somebody through that. Be positive about your situation. Talk about how you're going to use this experience. And maybe you don't know exactly what you're going to do yet. But affirmations, positive self-talk, mentors, all of this stuff. I know a lot of you are like, oh, that's all crap. That's all bullshit. Tony Robbins is a scam. The Bible's bullshit. Mentors suck. Therapy sucks. Affirmations are bullshit. Positive quotes, bullshit. I don't need any of that. Well, your best thinking got you exactly where you are right now. Your best thinking is sending you to prison. And if you continue with your best thinking, you're not going to learn anything from this. And you're going to return home broken, jaded, pissed off, thinking how unfair all of this is, to where you're just going to be a grumpy old something in the end. And it's just, it's an unattractive ability. It's an unattractive quality to have. Don't put yourself through that. Embrace the situation. Realize and say to yourself, I'm going to federal prison. It's not going to break me. It's not going to destroy my life. I'm going to return home. I'm going to find out whatever it is I'm supposed to do. This is the start of my mother effing journey right here, right now, today. What can I do to make tomorrow better than what I'm dealing with right now? Let's read some messages. So you guys can see the messages in there. I think you guys, I mean, look, truth is sometimes hard to hear. And, we can make jokes about it. We do a lot of light conversations about it. And, today I was driving. I actually made a video that I was going to post today and upload it. I just didn't finish editing it. I took a drive to the beach, had the top down in the car, just really enjoying it. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, there was a point where I never thought this would exist. I came home from prison. Let me tell you guys, I don't know what you guys know about me or don't know about me, but I don't come from money. I didn't grow up with money. There was a point in my life where my father was wealthy, but I never saw a penny of it. My father died when I was 16 years old of cancer. There was inheritance that I wasn't allowed to touch until I turned 18. My stepsister from my dad, when I was born, my father was in his mid-60s. My grandfather was born in the 1800s, just to give you an idea. So I had a sister from my father's previous marriage who was much older than me. She was in her, I believe, late 30s, early 40s when my father passed away. Well, my father owned a couple gas stations, he owned a couple homes, so there was money. There was probably a couple $1 million in assets spread around. That a big portion of it was left to me in trust with my sister, who had the ability to invest. She could not intentionally misappropriate the funds, but there was some bullshit in there that allowed her basically to steal everything. So when I turned 18, there was not a penny. I received $2,000 in the end from everything. So to let you guys know, I don't come from money. I don't come from wealth. I've had a decent upbringing as a young child, but when my parents divorced, everything went south. Literally moved into a trailer park. I was a trailer park kid living in a trailer park in Lake Worth, Florida, which there's nothing wrong with trailer parks. I was raised in one by a single mother who was never home. She worked nights. She ate pills like they were M&Ms. So I didn't have any parental figures in life that had any type of control over me. I did make every mistake. My saving grace is I was never got addicted to drugs other than using marijuana on a regular basis. Never got addicted to like heroin or cocaine, never used any of those drugs in my entire life. So that was probably one of the only things that actually saved me from not being a complete F-up to where I either ended up dead or in prison for the rest of my life. However, I had a friend who lived in a very wealthy neighborhood who I got to see this lifestyle of what it's like having a family and sitting down at the table and somebody that cares about you. And I got to see this and I wanted it so bad to the point where when I turned 16, his son was not 16 yet. However, he bought his son a brand new BMW for his 15th birthday. Meanwhile, I was 16. So I was allowed to drive the car and take Josh. We could go places, drive around. So I got this experience of living this luxury life and seeing these luxury toys at a young age. And what I realized was I really wanted these things, but I had no idea what type of work and effort it actually took to earn them the right way. And I kept saying to myself, I know this is going to end someday. Josh is going to go off to college. I'm going to go off to whatever shithole job that I'm going to go off to, because that was just the destiny that I lived in, the neighborhoods that I lived in. That's where everybody went. They all went and worked for some bullshit job. Where Josh lived went off to colleges and walked into careers. They had things that were set up for them because their parents prepared. I'm not jealous about it. I respect it and I value and I'm grateful, but I was envious of it. I wanted that, but I didn't have the opportunities. And I didn't do anything to earn the opportunities or to create the opportunities. So I kept thinking to myself, I'm going to run into Josh in the future. The difference is this time, he's probably going to be back from vacation somewhere. I'm probably going to be the waiter or busboy at whatever country club he goes to. That was going to be Josh and I running into each other in the future. And that scared the living shit out of me. Where I started making bad decisions at a young age, started doing things to make a couple of extra dollars here and there that I shouldn't have done, so I could have things that I didn't truly deserve. And this was the early mindset that I adapted that brought me into the situation to where I ended up taking a job at a pain clinic. Knowing that it wasn't the most honest job out of the gate, I found ways to justify. They're going to promise me $10,000 a month, all of my expenses paid. Sign me up. That's all I needed to hear at that point in life. So when I got out of prison, I had $0 to my name, $0, a suspended driver's license, and a heck of a lot of money owed to back child support because while I was in prison, child support kept accruing the whole time, never stopped. So I got out of prison with no money. I owed a ton of money, didn't have a license, didn't have a car, didn't even have a place to live yet. I was living in a federal halfway house, just thinking, this is exactly what I thought it was going to be like getting out of prison. Nowhere to go. But I was still positive because RDAP gave me these tools that already existed deep down inside, but I needed the affirmation to get myself out of it. So every day I would walk to the bus. If you watch some of my earlier videos, guys, a lot of those earlier videos that I did, that was living in the federal halfway house. I wasn't a prison consultant. I was making videos because you guys were interested in it, and it gave me something to do on my spare time while I was at work making 10 bucks an hour. You guys helped me create a career of financial success in my own life, creating freedom and creating wealth, doing something that I'm proud to do, being able to give back. I was able to get my license back. I was able to go purchase a car, able to make purchases, have credit, all these things that I never thought were going to be available to me, things that I couldn't get before prison because I didn't have the mindset that I needed, because I wanted things now. I didn't want to put in the work and effort. So my point is, if I could come from such a shitty outlook of where I was, many of you are already well ahead of where I was. Your mind frame is better. You have things to come home to. You have a financial gang when you get released. Some of you are going to walk into businesses. Some of you are going to walk into employment. Some of you are going to have massive savings when you get out of prison. These are all advantages that you have that you don't need to squander with a shitty mindset. Look at where you are. Look at where you're going to be. Look at who you want to be and who you are right now and realize you can't be both of those people at the same time. Whatever you are and who you are right now, and you know that person that you want to be, you have to realize that you slowly have to step away from who you are. Go outside of your comfort zone. Get out of your box. Start asking for help. You'll be amazed at who you'll learn things from. And that's what this video is intended for. This video is not to sell you some bullshit. This isn't a video to tell you why you should hire me. But this is a video to tell you that you're not capable of doing this by yourself. At least most of you aren't. And if you don't know the questions to ask your attorney, you don't know if your attorney is doing everything they can be for your best interest. We have an amazing team of experts that work with us. If you would have told me this is what I'd be doing 3 or 4 years ago, I probably would have told you you're fucking crazy, because it wouldn't have made sense to me. It wouldn't have seemed possible. And now it doesn't only seem possible, I feel like I deserve it. I've earned it. I feel happy with what I'm doing. I'm no longer embarrassed. I don't feel like I'm less than. I don't feel I'm walking into a crowd of people where I don't belong. I've changed my thinking. I've changed the people, places, and things in my life. I've replaced negative attitudes with positive attitudes. I've replaced unhealthy relationships with healthy relationships. I'm a better father to my children. I'm a better ex-husband to my ex-wife. I'm a better friend to all of my friends. I'm a better fiance to my fiance. I'm a better me to me. And that's the point, is until you change who you are for you, you can't be worth anything to anybody else. So when you watch all of these other channels and you reach out to, prison consultants that you're watching out there, and they've got, the shiny smile and the bullshit behind them, and they connect and sound like you, and the white collar individual, and they tell you, well, I was this stockbroker and I did this and I did that. I know just what you're going through because I was just like you. Don't necessarily look for something that feels so comfortable and so familiar. Take yourself outside of the comfort zone. Do your due diligence. Talk to different people. Get a feel for what it is that's the best fit for you. And if you want to just be told a bunch of BS because it's what you want to hear, then go for that too. But if you want to hear the truth, and sometimes you need to hear what you don't want to hear to get you to that next step, I'm your guy. That's all I got to say, guys. It's Veterans Day. It's freedom. You're going to be free again. I know I was very negged out on Veterans Day prior to going to prison because it was all about freedom. And I kept thinking, the government's taking my freedom. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. What kind of country do you live in where they send people to prison? I'm not here to advocate against or for. I know the prison system is really messed up, and prison reform is something that's always going to be in the works and probably never be where it needs to be. But the reality is the shitty prison system that exists, that's the consequence of your actions. It didn't do it to you. You allowed the situation to happen to you. And when you undo that situation, you're going to thrive, you're going to be happy, you're going to be successful in everything that you do because you're going to be doing it for the right reasons, and you're never going to have to second guess yourself again because you're going to learn to not allow an easy thought process. Instead of taking the stairs, you're never going to use the elevator again. You're going to climb those stairs every time. You're going to second guess every decision you make. You're going to ask yourself, is this decision that I'm getting ready to make, is this safe for me? Is there any negative consequences that can come from this? Is this potentially going to send me to prison? Is this potentially going to cause harm to my family? Because all of you are harming your family right now. You're completely destroying what they thought they had. You've uprooted everything with the choices that you made. How do you rebuild that if you're just sitting there pretending like everything's fine? Your kids aren't going to want to bring it up to you. Your wife or your husband's not going to want to bring it up to you. Your friends aren't going to want to go, why the fuck did you do this? What were you thinking? They're not going to want to say that to you because they're going to go, oh, he or she is already going through such a hard time. They've got enough on their plate. You did this. They shouldn't have to feel that. They shouldn't have to tiptoe around you because you decided to put yourself in a situation. So deal with it. You're going to prison. Take your plea deal. Start focusing on mitigating. Start owning your responsibility. Start creating the new you. Start rebranding who you're going to be. Find this awesome identity that you want and slowly leave your old identity in the past. Put a fucking bullet right in its head. That's what it's going to take to be successful in life. I'm RDAP Dan. This is Federal Prison Time Consulting. People helping people. Communities Method. Have an amazing Veterans Day, everybody. I love every single one of you, and peace. I'm out of here.